Oh, what's up? Welcome to Normal America Show. What's up, Gizmo? How you doing, man? Your host, robnoerr. Great to be here today. Had a busy weekend and Monday. Busy in a good way, though. Work's been busy. Some turnover at higher up positions, and it's one of those things. It sucks if you have a supervisor or a team member that you like at your job. And it sucks reintegrating people sometimes, new people that come in to the team. But I'm actually excited because it seems as if the new people we got in our team actually want to learn. A lot of times you get people that think we know everything. We'll come in and, it doesn't seem like I have a Project Veritas situation on my hands here. So that's good. But between that and computer problems, I was unable to stream yesterday, which is a bummer. My computer was overheating all day, doing nothing, basically. So I installed an update. So far, so good today, but I would not be surprised if the computer gives out on me. However, hopefully this will be my last day streaming with this laptop. It looks like most of my parts for my computer have came in that I'm building. And in addition, CTV, I already bought the stuff. Aftershock hooked me up with a friend that suggested what to buy. My machine in total with 2 monitors is about $1,500, which on my budget's really pushing it. I don't have a lot of money to spend, but I think it'll get the job done. I don't plan on doing much gaming or anything like that, so just for sort of streaming in the way I do and the panels, I think that it'll at least get me through with my video quality being reasonable, my computer not lagging, overheating. That's the sort of thing that I'm going for. But nice to see you, CTV. So yeah, it's been crazy. I feel bad too because the nature of my busyness has been that I haven't followed the news that much just this week. But I figured we would talk about anything that people wanted. In addition, there are things I could talk about, Biden going to Ukraine while leaving the people of East Palestine in the lurch, the Project Veritas situation, the fact that Kevin McCarthy appears to have given the January 6th footage to Tucker Carlson. I like Tucker, but I think that that's a strange decision. If they're going to publicly announce giving it to a journalist like that, who does not have any kind of security clearance that I'm aware of, they should be giving it to all of the American people. I am for transparency. That does not mean only giving access to source material to people that I like. I don't think that that's necessarily a good thing. Would I like if footage was exclusively given to Rachel Maddow from our government? No. And so I would rather that it came to the American people. Now, if I had to pick someone, Tucker would be near the top of my list if it was just one team getting access to it. But nonetheless. But I figured we'd talk about anything that people want. Any questions, comments about politics, culture, ideology, life in general, whatever. And wrap up this computer, this laptop. Go out with a bang. I can't even show video. Yay. But, maybe we'll get a debate in. Maybe some lefty, we could chum in some lefty to call in. But you never know. Had a good show Saturday. The inaugural episode of my new panel show, The Arena on the Crucible. We could talk about that and sort of the philosophy behind that, how the show went, things like that. But I'm up for anything. Let me get a drink here. Desert Beauty, yeah. I don't disagree. I've said that from day one. The Ukraine, it's not just a money pit, it's corruption. Kickbacks, quid pro quos, you name it. If we had any sort of media that would have been on this from the get-go, we're inching closer to a serious hot war with Russia, and no one seems to care. It's Grambler, not Gambler, Spinfoil. Come on, if you're going to reference my above top secret name, at least get the R in there. I am considering doing a weekly or maybe bi-weekly show where I just cover topics from above top secret. I used to love going to that site. Now I'm just so busy being a dad plus doing streaming stuff that I don't spend as much time there. But I used to spend a lot of time there. I enjoyed it. Enjoyed the debates, the conversations. Mostly I used it for politics, not a lot of conspiracy stuff, but I dabbled. And there was also stuff on there that was just very interesting. People would put really incredible, like, well thought out threads on, like, which fighter craft is superior, or, you know, historical military situations, or things like that I found to be quite interesting. But yeah, my name on there was Grambler. I guess we'll start. And again, so the theme. Yeah, well, they don't care about our border. That's the nature of the globalist. They actually care less about the people they're supposed to represent. They don't care. Look at it this way. You know how the Democratic Party could give two shits less about, like, gay men or black people? They don't care. They just pander to them in voting season, and then they go back to doing nothing for those communities. In fact, oftentimes those communities actually get worse than nothing. They get lip service, but the policies are actually specifically detrimental to the very communities that they claim to represent. Now imagine that on a national scale. That's basically what our establishment politicians are. They need your vote. Once they have it, they say, okay, now shut your mouth. And they're worried about getting other assets. And those other assets are their meddling in foreign affairs, globalism, erosion of national borders, personal power for them and their buddies. That's why you were treated worse than illegal immigrants when it came towards lockdowns. Remember? We were hearing over and over about our porous border, how people were testing positive, and yet they were left to roam freely in our country. Meanwhile, you couldn't even go visit your family in a nursing home. I hear this a lot from truckers, by the way. So the regulations are such for truck driving in this country that it's actually quite insane. And yet, drivers that are coming in from Mexico, many of those regulations they don't have to follow. My father-in-law has often talked about becoming a Mexican citizen just so he could continue doing his same truck driving job. Oh, thank you, Champet. Says, just finished my debate with Vegan Gains. Yeah, I did crush him. There are debates I have with people where I could acknowledge when the other side is making a good point. You know, I might still think I won, or maybe I thought it was very close. But I acknowledge, like, the other person's making arguments. I didn't think Vegan Gains made an argument. I mean, he requested the debate, as far as I know. Andrew reached out to me and said he wanted to debate Tyree Nichols and argue systemic racism had something to do with it. In his own acknowledgement, the best he could come up with is maybe a 20% chance. And his best evidence were that a couple of the black officers referred to Tyree Nichols, a black man, as brother and the N-word. Something that I've heard black men refer to other black men probably hundreds of thousands of times. That was it. That was his best evidence. So right out of the gate, I didn't understand. And then to make matters worse, sort of it morphed by the end of the debate into his belief that if you feel endangered by police, that you should run from them. That is a horrible advice. Horrible. Even if you despise the police, even if you want the police defunded, that is a terrible, terrible, terrible thing to recommend to people. That will literally get people hurt. So I thought that was questionable. But nonetheless, it was a debate. So the arena debate, the first arena, I hope that, I think that I can still download it. I think it's still on my StreamYard, and I'll be able to download that. And I plan on, if I have time, though I probably won't tomorrow, Wednesday or Thursday, trying to upload that. Now, I'm going to be very busy the next couple days. First off, tomorrow after work, I got like a 4-hour training. So that means I'm not going to be getting home till 6, 7. And then I have a computer to build, which I am an idiot. Oh yeah, don't get people killed. Yeah, I mean, you're right. Thanks, ChampVet. I appreciate it. Hope to do more debates here in the future. That's one of the reasons that I'm doing the arena show. A lot of people don't want to debate me anymore. There's the usual character. I talk to Pisco a lot, which I give him credit for. I could probably talk to Dylan Burns and Sonsel. At least those 3 can make an argument, But many of the debates I get lined up with now, the people that actually are reasonable debaters that are concerned about their reputation debating don't really want to debate me. Or the people that want to debate me, the topics are like, flat Earth or Star Wars, did you like the original trilogy better, shit like that. It's like, I'm game. I could do stuff like that, but it's like, it's not my interest really. So then I end up with these wackos, and I try my best with it, but so I figure, fuck it. If they're not going to debate me, then I'll host a panel show and I'll be the best moderator. So I'm still involved in debates, and then maybe I'll meet people that disagree with me, and I could line up some more debates. But no, I think that the show in the arena, it's going to be streamed to the Crucible. Yeah, Tainted Holy. We could talk a little about that debate. Why not? We'll talk ANCAP stuff. So if you missed the debate on the arena, again, I seem to be plagued by this. Me and my producer, Aftershock. We line people up, and then at the last minute, they drop out. That happened with 2 guests this week out of 6. So that leaves us with 4 people. To be honest, I would have been fine leaving it with 4 people. The VOD should currently be on the Crucible's Odyssey channel. Let me check. And like I said, I think I have a saved... I think that Andrew records all of these and he's going to send me a clip, and then I just have to upload it to my Rumble. But the just give me a second. Oh, this computer bringing an overheat here. By the way, to the 22 people watching me on Rumble, thank you so much. I assure you my content's about to get much better. Shows like this that are kind of slapdash because I've been working all day and things like that, we should hopefully be kind of avoiding that. Just once I get my new setup and everything. Maybe not. I thought that. You must delete it from there as well. Anyways, yeah, unfortunately, hopefully he saved a copy of that. So let me explain what's going on. So I've heard of Zelensky, Saul Alinsky or Zelensky. Yeah, I know people have talked about that with Rumble. I'm gonna work on that. I'm gonna work on seeing if there's something I could do on my end. When I type on Rumble, it works fine, but I think a lot of people watch on mobile, and I think the mobile conversation on Rumble doesn't work. So anyways, here's the thought. So the arena panel show, me... so first, I'll explain why we delete it in a second. No. I'll explain why we delete them now, and then I will talk about the actual show. So my first priority doing this show is to not get the Crucible channel banned, right? So because I am working on the Crucible's network and I'm live streaming directly to the Crucible's YouTube channel, I could suck, I could look like an ass, I could get crushed in a debate, people could call me fatty the whole time, say I'm stupid, I'm bald, my beard's discolored, my mustache is crooked, your beard's a little sideways, it's okay, come at me, everybody does, no problem. Yeah, Saul Alinsky, yeah. But I can't get the Crucible's channel banned. And let me explain something about me. I'll go back in time here. So a little over a year ago, I think, maybe less than a year ago. It was like Pride Month last year. So like 9-10 months ago, I had to disband my Discord channel. Let me explain what happened. So it goes back to actually Andrew Wilson, BPF's former show that he was on called Politically Provoked, with the host Brittany. Brittany and Politically Provoked had a Discord channel. I don't know why. It must have been through ease of debate. It was a debate show, basically. Through ease of debate or something like that, they made people moderators who traditionally wouldn't have been... What's up, Cheat Sauce? Who traditionally wouldn't have been people that shared the beliefs of Politically Provoked. Politically Provoked ended up, now they're with the Groypers and stuff like that. They had a lot of edgy people that like to say the N-word. I'll just put it that way. So take someone like Sansol or Dylan Burns or Danabo. Say what you want about those people. I don't think they ideologically align with sort of the Groyper type people. But some of the people, I think Stardust was another... were moderators on the Politically Provoked channel. I don't know if they accepted it or were just granted moderator powers. Here's why it matters. So around the same point that something happened on my Discord channel, right before it, like a week before, I started to see on Twitter that a bunch of people, and again, I don't remember exactly who they were. I would just call them, in general, left-wing people that I was aware of. Maybe it was Sansol or Stardust or someone like that. Was posting that they were getting warnings from Discord that their Discord accounts were going to be disbanded because they were part of a hateful community. And what happened was, Politically Provoked's channel got mass reported and banned, and so all of the moderators lost access to their accounts. Now, I believe that eventually they got that access back, but the reason that mattered to me was, about a week later, I actually was out watching my sister-in-law's kids' baseball game. Baseball game. Like an 11-year-old. And I had my phone on silent and, whatever, wasn't checking it. So it's gone for like 3 hours. And I get back home and I'm firing up the grill because the kids are all coming over. And I check my phone and I got a bunch of messages, particularly on Discord. So I check and basically it's friends of mine that are moderators like, dude, what's going on? I got an email saying that I'm going to lose my Discord account because I'm a member of a hateful community, your community. So I check my emails, and sure enough, I got an email from Discord saying that my Discord channel was, I believe the term it used was, targeting hatred and harassment towards a protected group. And that my options were to delete the messages that did that or to face the removal of my account and channel. Right? So, having seen what happened with the Brittany and Politically Provoked situation, Brittany was probably doing ban evasion. She certainly, I would guess, there were people on that Discord channel that were using racial slurs that are against terms of service, etc. But the reason that I bring that up is that showed me that people that aren't doing that, who just happen to be there in that community, were going to get punished. And so the same would happen in my community. So I spent the next 3 hours scrolling my Discord channel looking for hatred. I assumed someone misgendered someone, was what they were saying. I couldn't find the post. So what was my option at that point? I had no options. I had to disband my channel because I didn't want people that had nothing to do with my beliefs or ideology losing their account. If someone had to bite the bullet, it should be me. They shouldn't be punished because my account exists. And so I disbanded my Discord community for 7-8 months. But the reason I bring that up is my number one concern with my streaming is to not get anyone else punished because of me. This is not my livelihood. It is not my career. If I'm totally removed from streaming tonight, my life will go on. I'll find a platform to get my message out there. That platform may be at the local bar, talking to the locals, but I'll still be talking about what I want to talk about. So when I'm given the opportunity, in this case to stream on the Crucible's channel, I can't fuck up. Now you might say, but Rob, you're not the type of person that's yelling the N-word. You're not a bigot. You're not calling for violence. Right, but it's on YouTube. That means there are certain topics, certain illnesses that you can't mention, or that they might give you a strike. Certain medications you can't mention, or you might get a strike. Certain anomalies when it comes to our democracy that you can't mention, or you might get a strike. Then there's always the chance that the same people that are targeting people for Hogwarts Legacy content could be targeting you and get a strike. So I understand Andrew has other reasons for deleting live streams after they're done, but I completely and wholeheartedly support it. I don't want any of my stream from the arena left up on the Crucible's YouTube channel. Period. Because I don't want 1 month later, when I get banned from YouTube because I was yelling about the FBI or something, for then the Crucible to also get banned. Where do I think is the place to move in the future? You're from the Philippines. So I have to claim ignorance on being a worldly person. I still love the United States. I think there are places here that are beautiful. Rural Pennsylvania. If you could come here legally through the legal channels and you're willing to work, there's tons of work available here in rural Pennsylvania. I think it's a great place. It appeals to me, expat communities in Mexico. There's beautiful landscape all around, I would think that, thank you, Buff, I really appreciate the follow. I would think that you want to move to a place that's a first world country that is not embracing globalism as much as possible. But if this conflict with Russia escalates any further, it might not matter where you live. Yeah, Centralia, yeah. We were talking about that the other day. The place that's on fire. Yeah. Oh, I know. Hot Springs, the censorship is insanity. I should ask Ukraine for so. So, now, once my computer is built, the idea is I will also be streaming either to my YouTube channel or to my Rumble channel, etc. And then on Rumble, I'll leave it up. So eventually you'll be able to catch every episode of The Arena on Rumble. That's, whether it be live or the video in posterity. That's the plan. So we delete from YouTube, and if you want to see it, you have to go to robnoerr's Rumble channel. And that might drive views and clicks to my Rumble channel. But I didn't stream the debut episode because my computer's shit. And when I'm doing panel shows, sometimes it'll lag really bad. And so I was trying to make it as bare bones as possible. We're just streaming to the Crucible account. Period. End of story. That was the intent. So that's why I do apologize for that. Let me check one more thing. Oh, why am I terrible at spelling? What is going on? Anyways. Yeah, so I'll explain my computer situation. I have a desktop at home that costs about $500 that sucks. When I'm not at my home office, I have a laptop. The laptop overheats constantly. The desktop at home doesn't really overheat, but what it does is the quality becomes incredibly poor. And so when I tried, for example, to stream the first Drunken Debates, it was unwatchable because it was lagging and so choppy. So the plan is, my friend Aftershock has a friend who built a computer for me, or at least told me the parts to order. And so I ordered the parts, and I think the final part will be here Friday. But most of it's there now. So then I'll have this weekend to build it. Hopefully that's built and ready to go for Saturday. If not, I'll use my old desktop one more time. But the plan is I will travel with that desktop. And I bought a case for it and everything that should be light enough. And I bought a traveling bag for it that I should be able to travel with that PC. And that's inevitably the plan. So that's why this stream... This will probably be the last time I ever stream on this laptop. I have no idea what's wrong with this computer. I've had it in the shop. I've changed the thermal paste on it. It just overheats constantly. The shop doesn't know why. So that's what's going on. Now, the debate proper. So the arena debate, what happened? The topic was who's more evil, the right or the left. My intent was... I could have just said Republican or Democrat, but I wanted to get out of the sort of my line of thinking that at the top level there are terrible rhinos in positions of leadership that aren't fiscal conservatives, and so they suck and the Democrats suck. So I used the terms left and right, and I also thought that that would leave maybe some area of the debate of what really does it mean to be a right-winger or a left-winger and the ideologies behind it, right? You know, I consider right wing to think that hierarchies exist and they're a good thing, and left wings say yes, but we have to challenge hierarchies or else they become corrupt and we should focus on the people at the bottom. I've heard Jordan Peterson explain it that way. I think that's a fair interpretation of how I would say left and right. And obviously the term evil was chosen for a choice. I could have said who's worse, the left or the right. But I picked the topic because it's my belief that the left is more evil. That doesn't mean everyone on the left or the left ideas are always come from a place of malice. But I think right now the people that pay lip service to the causes of the left are terrible people. And are at least those in positions of power. So that was my thought. The original panel was going to be made up basically of 2 centrists, 2 lefties, 2 righties. Though one of the centrists was an ANCAP, Fabian Liberty. And what happened was Kevin Logan was a left-winger and he had to back out. And Counterpoints, who was sort of the centrist, he had to back out. And they both backed out last minute. So we got the Turk, which I was very thankful that he was able to jump in. He jumped in for Counterpoints, who told us early in the day that he wouldn't be able to do it. We never heard from Kevin Logan at all. And so the show got started a little late because we're waiting. We're messaging. Finally, we needed a last minute replacement, and Casimir offered to be the replacement. What that did was it put 2 anarcho-capitalists on the panel. And it's a lot. That's a lot. And if you watch the debate, you can see the right-wingers. What's up, Randy West? The right-wingers are visibly annoyed by the direction, because I'm doing a poor explanation of what the ANCAP, at least to them. They would say, no, you're not steelmanning us. But I'll, in general, say it's close to proximity what their position is. The fact that to an anarcho-capitalist that the question was, who is more evil? Evil implies that we look at morality and first principles. So where do you derive your set of morality? And they derive their set of morality from what I would call deontology. And they're against utilitarianism or consequentialism. So they believe that there are moral actions and that the outcome of those actions is irrelevant as to whether or not something is moral. And evil would be something that is immoral. So they would say this: no, you don't punch a little girl in the face in order to save 10 puppies. That would be bad. Even though the 10 puppies would die and it's more of them, you don't actively commit an act of evil, right? And so that's why they're against the state. They're against taxation, because they say that's theft. And it doesn't matter if the theft is for hospitals or for roads or for the military or whatever cause you think is good. The mere fact that it was founded on theft, because it was taxation, you coerced people to forcibly at gunpoint basically give money over, or penalty of the law, that is evil. And so the question of who is more evil, the left or the right, it's sort of irrelevant, right? Because to them, statists are evil and anarchists are not. Now, they consider themselves more right-wing, but there's like, we assume by left and right, you basically mean Republican, Democrat. They're both statists. They're both terrible. That's what the entire debate was. And so, you know, there were a bunch of things. They talked about patent laws. You know, it gets really, there is a lot of minutia. But I don't blame the anarcho-capitalists for this, right? I don't blame them. Because the way the question is worded, they can't not talk about that if they're being true to the topic. That, to them, is what evil is. Evil is consequentialism. The state is evil. So embracement of the state, even if they would say like this, like let's say that the anarcho-capitalists on that panel, Casimir and Fabian, let's say that they would be like, we think that promotion of sexuality to children is wrong. And we think that the right is far better at trying to stop that. But we think their use of the state is evil. The consequence doesn't matter. The mere fact that they've embraced the state means that they're evil. Right? And it doesn't matter what the topic is when you're talking about morality with an anarcho-capitalist. It's very simple to them. Is there coercion involved? Is there consequentialism? Then it's evil. That's it. Now, the left and the right could have been like, okay, we've said our piece in that, we're going to argue with each other. But they didn't. They kept going back to that. And so it's difficult because I know as an audience, it's a very, what's the word I'm looking for? It has to be your cup of tea to enjoy a conversation like that. It's very easy to be like, this is just not something I find interesting. You know, a Christian and a talking about where they derive their morality, debating an anarcho-capitalist talking about where they derive their morality, that could be an interesting conversation. But that's not what was happening. So, you know, not everyone's cup of tea. But the problem was, I'm going to do a little inside baseball. I don't claim to be a genius on this. Setting up debates or setting up panels is actually kind of difficult. I mean, it's easy to just call 6 people and be like, do you want to be on a panel? But it's difficult to choose people that will lead to a maximum amount of information and entertainment for the audience. You need people that clash well, that mesh well. And what happens is, if you set that up, and Aftershock's the one who set the people up, I think that Counterpoints and Kevin Logan would have made that discussion more about sort of traditional left-wing, like socialism type stuff versus more of like a right-wing, more laissez-faire capitalist. I think that that's what the debate would have been. And then Fabian would have been able to add sort of the part about the state. But when people drop out, you're sort of at the whims of whoever you could find at the time. And I'm not about to tell someone like Casimir, who generously did me a solid by hopping on last minute. Oh, okay. Now, I did halfway through the debate, like, can we get the left and right? The NCAPs have talked like a lot. Can we get the left and right? I tried, but it was what it was. The call-in section went very well, except someone was reading Unabomber Manifesto. That's not a good thing. But other than that, it went well. This week, I think I'm more in spirit. Now, let me say one other thing. One of the things I disliked about panel shows was, even it seemed if there was a right-winger hosting it, we never got to talk about the things that I wanted to talk about. We were never talking about Russiagate. We were never talking about Trump's impeachment. We weren't talking about corruption. It'd be like abortion. I want to have at least every 4 shows a topic like that. Should we disband the FBI? Was the raid of Mar-a-Lago a political hit job? Is the media the enemy of the people? Was the Ukraine impeachment of Trump to cover up from Biden's corruption in Ukraine? But it's hard to get people lined up for those topics. Not many people have an interest level in that stuff like I do. Furthermore, it's difficult because many of those topics are better when you're talking about them when they're in the news at the moment. And the nature of setting up a panel show and trying to get 6, 7 guests is that it's difficult to entice guests to come on if they don't know the topic. And so if I just say, you want to be on my panel show next Saturday, I'll know the topic Friday night, there may be people that say no. So instead, what I'm doing is I'm trying to find topics that I think will encourage a good amount of clash, like who's more evil, the right or left. And those are going to be 3/4 of the topics. Those are topics that I could set ahead 3 weeks in advance and line up guests. So, for example, this week's topic is, and I'm going to start wording the topics like this. In debate, in policy debate in college, you had a resolution, right? And one side affirmed the resolution and the other side negated. And the resolution would say something like this: resolved, the United States federal government should end corn subsidies. If you're affirmative, you agree with that statement. You defend the statement. Negative didn't necessarily mean you went against the statement. You could have just negated the plan provided by the affirmative. But the important part was the affirmative defended the statement. Defended the resolution. So that's how I'm going to word my debate topics. So this week's debate topic is: women should raise families, not careers. That's the topic. And you could agree, you could disagree. That's the idea. I think the topic is, I think we got a good panel lined up. I think this week there will be legitimate disagreements and like some pretty spicy takes. The panel will be, let's see. I'm pulling it up. So there's going to be a change with the panels looking like these people: Dylan Burns, Phil KOE, Counterpoints, Kevin Logan, Stardust, and Rachel Wilson. So there will definitely be a mix of people that agree that women should raise families, not careers, and people that disagree with that. So next week's topic after that is going to be, I haven't worded it yet. It's going to be something like, we should fat shame the obese. Is going to be the following topic. And so we'll be lining people up for that. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be fun. I think that if you watched that show, what would strike you the most is the production value of it. The team at the Crucible with graphics, music, stuff like that really helped me out. I also really like streaming with StreamYards. And it's something that I'm probably going to get an account and stream myself on StreamYards as opposed to OBS, at least temporarily. Because I just found that there was so much more I could do as far as clips and banners and things like that. So, all right. That's that. That was the arena discussion. So this is my special I've been busy as shit, haven't followed the news much this week show. It is also the special last day streaming from this crappy laptop. Hopefully next week you'll actually be able to see me in video as opposed to just the little icon here. So I do apologize. I am committed to making this show better, to growing the audience. I have some ideas for types of shows I'm going to do each day of the week. Debate reviews one day. Maybe I'll do the Above Top Secret or an interview show another day. Trying to line up a debate for me once a week. And then setting up the debate panel. I also want to do more in real life stuff. It's a really crazy time in my life, busy-wise, just because of random stuff, basically. A bunch of family functions that are good going on, and then some turnover here at work, so there are new people that I'm basically training. So a lot of, I think last week, my check is 88 hours, I think is what it is, or that was 2 weeks ago, and then this week I think it was 80. So it's a lot of hours worked trying to do a show and stuff like that. So anyways, I'm happy to answer any questions that people have in the chat. So feel free. It could be about politics, ideology, culture, my personal life, within reason. and we'll answer. We could joke around and have fun. The idea, I'll just start with this, and people could go where they want. The idea of Biden going to Ukraine, the whole visual of, the air siren going off and all of this stuff, they really are pushing us towards World War III. They really are. And they really could give a shit less about the people in this country. They don't care about the people at East Palestine. You wouldn't have even heard of it if it wasn't for social media. You wouldn't have. I didn't. It took me like 8-9 days before I heard of it. And I frequently am on these spaces. That's bad for me. This is one of the reasons that they want total control of social media. They want to be able to bury the stories that are negative. Z, I've been saying that. Who? Any of the regulars here, right? How long have I been saying that? 9 months? Oh man, it's over. Remember I talked to Dylan Burns? He said it's over. The war's over. Russia literally cannot win. It is all over. That was like 6-7 months ago. I was like, well, do you have a time frame? Since it's already over. So what, a couple months? That's it? Well, I don't have a time frame. And that's been the left's narrative. On one hand, they tell you, you're not pissing your money away. We're sending the money there and they're winning. And Russia's embarrassed and they don't have a chance. Oh, man. And then on the other hand, they're like, please send more. If we don't get billions this month, Russia's going to run right through Ukraine and they'll be overthrowing Poland by the end of the week. That's the narrative. Both can't be true. And now what they say is, well, by sending the money, we end it faster. Great. I don't give a shit about ending it faster. So as long as Russia's not going to win, they're incapable of winning, then fine. Stop sending the money. Nah, I could not disagree with that more, Sparky. I hope that it ends peacefully. People don't know the hell of what any country using a nuclear weapon would be. Biden said towns across the U.S. were all flying Ukrainian flags. McConnell said a couple days ago, I think, was it in Ukraine or just talking to Ukraine delegations? He said, don't go to Twitter. Don't listen to Twitter. America supports Ukraine. No, it's true that there are left-wing people. We did a whole bit about it like 10 months ago. About the trolls that were coming. Well, not necessarily just trolls, but the lefties that were coming on, your Ukrainian flag. There was actually a person that I argued with that told me how much good having a Ukrainian flag in your bio was doing. It was making the difference. Who the fuck? I wish I could dig that debate up. It was hilarious. I couldn't believe it. It inspired them to fight harder. Now imagine you're a Ukrainian man who's in the military and you believe that Putin is evil and he's coming to take your homeland and kill you and harm your wife and your child. But you just can't muster yourself to fight hard enough until you turn on Facebook and see, oh my God, some random cat lady that streams on Facebook has a Ukrainian flag in their bio. Well, now I'm inspired to fight. And this guy believed this. Do I think Russia invades if Trump was still president? Probably not. But I don't know. I think that the irony is that we were told that there were two significant problems in 2015 with electing Trump. And I've asked my audience this before, so I won't go through it, right? The first was that Trump was going to lock up black people and gay people and blah, blah, blah. That was all bullshit, right? The second one was Trump is a maniac and foreign policy. Our allies will think we're a joke and our enemies will be emboldened. And Trump's this maniac with his finger on the nuclear button and oh my goodness. Remember they had that big scare in Hawaii? Remember that? Like that was, Trump's finger. He has the nuclear codes. Oh my goodness. The world will be ablaze because of Trump's foreign policy blunders. Now, Trump did foreign policy things I didn't like bombing Syria, continuing to support the war in Yemen. However, there were also historic peace deals that were starting in the Middle East. He was the first president to not get us into a major war since, Reagan? Before then? People didn't understand, maybe they did, but the narrative that got pushed out was a fundamental misunderstanding of Trump's approach. Trump talked tough to his allies and friends, and then his enemies, who he thought were egotistical, he buttered up while enacting policies many times that were harmful to them. Sometimes further than I would have wanted. Like, for example, Obama would not send Javelin missiles to Ukraine. Trump did. I didn't really support that move. But this narrative that Trump was pro-Putin, Trump didn't do half the shit beneficial to Russia that Biden has done that's been beneficial to China. And we know that Biden's family, and probably himself, had business arrangements with the communist government of China. And yet, no one's curious. Wonder why we stopped that investigation into the origins of the illness. Wonder why. Leaving a spy balloon fly all across. Got those weather balloons, though. Those private... Yeah, Grenada, I guess. 3 days. But sort of, I think that our enemies, and I don't even know if the word enemy, our geopolitical rivals, that's probably a better way to put it, perhaps believed the narrative that was being pushed. Maybe they thought Trump was an unhinged lunatic. That's not a bad thing. Now, let me be clear. It's a bad thing to actually have an unhinged lunatic as president. That's bad. But I don't think Trump was that. But your enemies or your rivals thinking that he might be unhinged, that might keep them in line. If you believe, look, if we push this guy, he'll go so far as to attack us with everything he's got, even if it means his own country's destruction. If Xi believes that, or Putin believes that, they may not risk an invasion. They might say, no. But Biden, especially after the disastrous Afghan withdrawal, make no mistake about it, I always have to say this caveat, I supported the withdrawal of Afghanistan. I applaud Biden for having the courage to do it. However, the way in which he did it showed how amateurish his administration would be when it comes to military endeavors and foreign policy. It projected weakness. In addition, the Obama administration that Biden was formerly part of also projected weakness. And so, is there a case to be made that Russia sees the encircle? And the other thing is, Trump was critical of NATO. So there was hope for Putin and Russia to say, well, maybe we won't continue to be encircled. But once Biden takes over and it's a signal to the world, look, the globalists are back in charge. NATO, push further, east. Maybe Putin truly believed it's now or never. If we don't do something now, they're going to just keep encircling us and chipping away until we're unable to do anything. Now that's not a defense of Putin invading. I didn't like it when the United States invaded Iraq, despite the fact that we were told good reasons. I don't like it that Putin invaded Ukraine. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't look at what the United States and NATO did that helped make this outcome occur. Now, I did hear about that, Spinboy, yeah. What do I think Biden's government's endgame is here? Is there an endless proxy war, or do they want to destroy Russia? I think they want regime change. I don't know that destroy Russia is the goal. They want to eliminate all potential rivals towards a global order. If that means getting countries to buy into the global order, like China and Russia, so be it. If that means getting out leaders that they see as a roadblock to that and getting new leaders in, so be it. I remember debating Dylan Burns, foreign policy expert, who's been to Ukraine. I remember debating him about the Syria debacle. This was the debate I had with Dylan right before the 2020 election. And there were several things, maybe I should go back and review that debate. There were several things said in that debate that were just prescient for looking ahead at the future. The first was, who would be harder on China, Trump or Biden? By the end of it, I said, well, if Biden wins, we'll know, right? If China becomes emboldened, then we'll know that that was the wrong answer. He said, well, the other thing, I think it was in that same debate, he said that the worst thing, the most unforgivable thing that Trump had done was trying to pull troops out of Syria. And so we talked about the Syria conflict, and I'm not going to get into the minutiae of it, but it took about 45 minutes to an hour of discussing what was going on in Syria and the problems I had with it and why Dylan supported. Basically, the short version of it is that the U.S. military claims that we were in Syria to fight ISIS, but while we were there, we saw Assad doing bad stuff, and so we had to check him as well. And I said, if it's just about fighting ISIS, then let's fight ISIS and leave. Let's wipe them out. We could do so in conjunction with Assad. Why fight Assad? And basically, I don't remember exactly how we got here, but basically he said, well, if we're there anyways, it doesn't hurt to pressure Assad. That's good. And I said, are you sure? You don't think Russia's going to take that poorly? He said, I'm not worried about it. I don't know if he was arrested or if it was for show. I don't know. And here's the thing, right? The people that push these wars, they're never going to, when the outcome gets terrible, they're never going to admit, oh boy, I was wrong. They're not going to admit that. They're going to say, oh, see? Like, God forbid, Russia would bomb, Europe or California. God forbid. And we end up in World War III. Do you think that people like that are going to be like, oh man, maybe I should have been gung-ho for this. Maybe I should have been pushing for a peaceful resolution more. Of course not. They'll say, see, we told you Putin was a lunatic. We told you we needed to go to war. That's what they'll say. It's not a joke. It really is true, that phrase you hear. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. Weak men create bad times. Bad men create strong times. My friend Sparky and CTV that were both in the chat, they served. There are conflicts, horrendous conflicts, that I know people have served in Afghanistan. But even that, we don't know what a world war will be. How horrible it will be. I don't know. But I know I don't know. And I don't want to find out. It could be the war to end all wars. In nuclear winter. Now, I don't think it'll come to that. But why are we advocating policies pushing us closer to that goal? What is the Biden's proposed finish line? Biden pulled out of the nuclear treaty. Now, Trump refused to re-sign, I think that's the START treaty. But and so Putin officially said, we're done with it as it's wearing out. A lot of it's posturing. Russia doesn't want to use a nuclear weapon. But what if they think that what if Putin thinks that he's going to be wiped out? Do you think he'll just peacefully say, oh, okay, well, that's it then? Would we? Would Biden? Yeah, Tengo, exactly. I don't even consider myself a student of history. I'm just not a LARPer. I like my life. That's another thing. A lot of these people pushing this shit are miserable, or they stand to gain something. I like my wife. I like my kid. I'd like to keep going on. Entomb says, off-topic question. How much time... That's the point tonight. We're supposed to be doing off-topic. Ask me anything. How much time a day do I spend on politics, and how did I become so good at debating? Politics, it's an interesting question. I used to, no shit, spend probably 3-4 hours a day in politics. That was before I was a dad, and I really started to basically double the hours I work, plus I like hanging out with my son. So, honestly, my guess is that I probably spend an hour to an hour and a half on Twitter a day. Now, when I say on Twitter, I don't literally mean just scrolling Twitter. I mean, I'll see an article on Twitter, and I'll click it. Or I'll see a link to a video, and I'll click it. I also like to check out the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post, Tucker's opening monologue, sometimes Breitbart, sometimes Newsmax, sometimes OAN. My guess is an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours a day, depending on if I'm having a crazy work day or something. How did I become so good at debate? Well, that's a good question. The easy answer is I debated in college, and I was one of the better debaters in the country. I qualified for the national debate tournament. So a lot of that doesn't translate. Like talking real fast and the types of arguments you made doesn't necessarily translate. But the structure of an argument, how to connect to a judge or an audience, that stuff translates very well. So that helped. But I was even pretty good at debate when I entered the game of debate. And I think it's because, I have to basically credit, a lot of credit goes to sports. Me and my friends through high school, we loved arguing about sports. We thought arguments were fun. We liked it. And so I never took debate or argument as a negative. And I didn't care if I wanted to win, right? But I wasn't afraid to lose. If you lose, so what? You learn something. Hopefully you had fun. It's like a game. To me, it was like playing chess. I enjoy playing. Sometimes you lose. Oh, well. And the more you play, the better you get. And so even before the game of debate that I did in college, I liked arguing. And I think that, I was an overweight kid. I'm still overweight. I got picked on a lot. I moved school from, let's see, 2nd grade, I moved to school. 4th grade, I moved to school. And so at those points in my life, sometimes you got in a little fight, a physical fight. Nothing crazy, but I was in a handful of fist fights. But I got good at defending myself. And picking on people if they picked on me. So I think, ironically, that helped me become a good debater. Who do I think is the best debater on the left? It's a good question. So if you mean in sort of the debatosphere, it depends on the topics. I think Econoboy is a solid debater on the economy in a certain style. He definitely has sources, and he's able to utilize those and talk in a sophisticated manner on the topic. I think that Destiny is a good debater on the left. I think that Synth is a good debater on the left. Who else? I'm trying to think of people I've had that I walked away thinking, yeah, that's a good debater. People I don't think are good debaters that other people think are Vaush. I think Vaush is a sophist and a liar. He will just lie and change his position at a moment's notice. Probably because he's a postmodernist and doesn't believe in truth and thinks everything's a power struggle, and so he doesn't mind being unethical. But I don't know. People could ask me questions about specific people, and I'll tell you what I think on them. I think Sparky, I think you're a fine debater. There are things I could critique, but I think you're fine. Crisco, robnoerr. All right. We'll go in order. Let's start with Sparky, then we'll go Progressive Brat, then robnoerr. I think, Sparky, when you are talking about an issue that you really know about, you're very good. And that's how most people are. If you're just authentic in yourself and you're talking about a subject you know, you will beat me in a debate if I don't know about that subject. That's just the way it is. Being good at debate just means understanding argument structure, how to appeal to an audience, how to break down an argument. And, for me, one of the things I try to do is attack that argument through the path of least resistance. But if you're right, you're right. I think that Sparky, I think that you could be more assertive in taking that idea of the path of least resistance, or a better way to put it would be this. Focus on the 2 or 3 things that you think are really important and understand how to continually go back to that. When someone, it has to make sense, but when someone deviates from that. So, for example, in your debate the other night, you left, perceptually, the ANCAPs control the debate. It's difficult. I've let people control the debates. It happens, right? But it's one of the things, with practice, I think that comes. But I think you're fine, Sparky. Progressive Brat was terrible. Progressive Brat exhibits all the worst. Entitlements, a sense of arrogance that is completely unwarranted. I don't mind people that don't know what they're talking about. That's fine. But when that comes with arrogance, that to me is what's deserving of a smackdown. I'm just calling it out, so. Yeah, that me and Destiny having fun with her. She started it, man. I don't know what to say. Why'd you ask me? I'm a woman. I would love to have her on the panel this weekend, though. Crisco says me. There's a lot to say about me. I think I'm probably objectively one of the best conservative debaters in the debate sphere. I think I could say that without much arrogance. I think my strong points are that I have a way of... probably my biggest strong point is, and maybe a weak point of mine as well, I am able to explain things so that an average person could understand. And the reason I could do that is because I am an average person. And because all of the people I grew up with are blue-collar workers, farmers, welders, police officers, carpenters, construction workers, etc. Bartenders. Thank you for the follow. Did active. Really appreciate it. Really do. And so you don't hear me talk like the opposite end of me on the debate spectrum would be someone like Vaush. You understand what we have are axiomatic differences. The heuristics of what we're trying to do here just doesn't make sense when you look at its epistemological values. One will see vis-a-vis the countertaking of exploitive propaganda and takes that you see to form a czarist, axiomatic different actors. We'll see these sort of epistemological differences rise up from time to time. Heretofore, we understand. Like, I don't talk like that. That's not me. To me, there is a time and place to sound like that, right? If you know what you're talking about. But many people use language like that because they're trying to give off a perception. So I think my ability to communicate to an average person makes me effective in debate. I also think about things differently. Like I have, and I think it takes people off guard. So when I hear someone make a point, I think to myself, how does that fit into the rest of their worldview? What would that mean? And so I'm able to test positions from that angle. I think that I'm good because I have an ability to be an asshole or to not, and to sort of match. Sometimes I don't do the best. Sometimes I screw that up. What are my weaknesses? I care too much about what people that disagree with me say. That is probably my biggest weakness. I could do a debate in front of 1,000 people and 999 could say I did a great job, but the one that says I sucked, that's where I put my focus. And because of that, sometimes I lose sight of understanding that sometimes you say your piece and you move on. Another huge problem with me is I am too wordy. Sometimes I will say something in 1,000 words that I could have said in 50. And that's not good. That's not good. And I do talk fast, which is sometimes shitty. But that's a byproduct of doing debate in college. But that's the criticism I have of me. Yeah, River would be a great panelist. She kind of mentioned it. I don't know, Sparky, if she would like she would have been fine on this panel. She doesn't want a lot of, name-calling and stuff. With how deep the corruption at the highest levels, if I was president right now, do you think it would even be possible to disband the FBI or CIA? Probably not. I don't even want to say what the worst that could happen would be, but they would probably come after me 6 ways from Sunday. Too bad I didn't live next to a super liberal college where I could do change my mind type videos. I kind of do, though. Not super liberal, but I live in near Clarion, Pennsylvania, where I got my undergrad. And, it's a college. It still leans liberal. Though I would say leaning liberal puts you near the most conservative of colleges, right? Because almost all colleges are liberal, so... But I was a former employee there, so it seems weird. I don't know. It just seems like it'd be weird. I worked there for 3 years. So to go from someone who was teaching students to then yelling at them, yeah, I agree with that, Ali. Saying things in the simplest way are the smartest, right? I don't know if I would say smartest in my case, but I do think that it's one of the reasons I do what I do. The people I love the most, the people I respect the most, are people, the blue-collar workers in rural America. That's where I grew up. And I suck at all that shit. But I happen to have a gift for talking. And so that gift is wasted if I'm talking in a way that the people that I respect the most don't understand me. Oh, thank you, Sparky. Yes, she would have been great for this panel. But, yeah, I don't get into a lot of the drama shit either. which I think would make me a bigger creator. A bigger streamer, a bigger audience. But for me, if it happens, it happens. But I guess I have a family and a life, and I just don't have time to get into shit. Though maybe trans-positive Rob will get into some shit here. When's that? When's Pride Month? What month's that? That'll be great to do. June! Oh, we gotta, Will I get censored if I say balls? Not by me. That's a good question. But yeah, the Ukraine situation is just... it feels weird to say this, but it's like, what more is there to say? I feel like I'm spinning my wheels. I feel like that's why I need to come up with different types of shows. The lockdowns and the situation that led to that. The election. War in Ukraine. And we talk about that stuff every night. W conservative, thank you. Is that it? Is that the test for conservatives? And can I say balls? Sure. Conservative. Ah! I saw, so I told people on Twitter to go check out Andrew Wilson's Super Show yesterday. He's going to do another one next Monday, which maybe I will take next Monday off as well and direct people over there. But one of the things, a regular member of his community, the Crucible, is a guy named Posh, and they had this AI that they created and brought Posh on to debate his AI. And it's obviously rudimentary, but man, it really gets you thinking, like, these deepfakes and stuff, within 5 years, they'll be indistinguishable. Think of how crazy shit is now, how they'll smear you. Like, just think of me. I probably have, let's say on average, I stream 8 to 10 hours a week, right? 10 hours a week, 3 years, 52 weeks. Here comes the man. Thousands of hours. Probably approaching 2,000 of hours of stuff that I have online, right? You could take 15-second clip here, 20-second clip here, and make it seem like I'm saying something really terrible. And it's happened. You're waiting till I get big enough to debate Hasan. Yeah, keep waiting. There is 0 chance that Hasan ever debates me. I could have 50,000 people watching a day. Hasan ain't going to debate me. Hasan don't want to debate people that actually can debate. Unless I would get so big and Hasan's channel would start going on the decline. And so he would do it for some sort of clout and he thought he had some gotcha. But Dylan Burns is on with Adam and Sitch. I bet Adam's being far more polite to him than he was me, huh? I still like Dylan though, believe it or not. But I disagree with his positions a lot. What was I saying? Oh, AI. Yeah, I mean, and then they played this clip from the video game Metal Gear Solid 2 that people redid the voices in about how AI is sort of a government psyop to get people to accept, oh boy, we need government control and we need, a digital ID because how do we know if someone's real or someone's not? So they have to have this digital ID so that there can't be deep fakes made of them and AIs and shit like that. It will really be incredible. I don't discount any of that. Certainly, people in positions of power will utilize AI in a way to screw over the regular person and consolidate even more power for them. And I've already said, it doesn't even have to be in a biblical sense, right? People are like, the mark of the beast type stuff. I'm not, like, that's not what I'm really talking about. Think of how it works already. I mentioned this the other day. I have to be very careful talking about this. There is a woman named Sarah Kane, formerly Sarah Courier, one of my favorite streamers. She streams on YouTube, the Crusader Gal, she goes by. Fantastic, Christian, conservative streamer, just fantastic. So I have done probably 8 or 9 shows with Sarah, and one day we were setting up doing a show later in that evening. I was banned from YouTube at the time. I had 2 community strikes, so I couldn't post to YouTube. And she doesn't post on Twitch. And so we're having a phone call discussing what we're going to talk about that night. And I'm going to be streaming to Twitch, and she's going to be streaming to YouTube. And we came up with a list of topics that we couldn't talk about because one of our channels would get banned. So I couldn't talk about anything that she would want to regarding the trans community because that could get you banned on Twitch. We couldn't talk about anything regarding the 2020 election because that could get you banned on YouTube. We couldn't talk about a certain illness because that could get you banned on YouTube. And so here we are, normal people, not bigots, not racist, not people advocating for violence. And we have to self-censor 90% of what we wanted to talk about just to stay on these platforms. And people accept it. Yeah, Hasan's weak. Already the way they ostracize people. Look at the January 6th stuff. Regardless, I have no love for violence. I called it out. But look at how they're going after anyone who was even at it. Oh, you were there? Yeah. There were, hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands of people there who didn't engage in any violence. Most of them didn't go into the Capitol, even if you think that's a big deal. Though, I would love to see a Venn diagram of people that think it's a big deal of the peaceful people that went into the Capitol on January 6th, but didn't think it was a big deal of the people that broke into the Hart Building in the Senate under the Kavanaugh hearings. Or didn't think it was a big deal May 30th and 31st, 2020, when violent left-wingers took Molotov cocktails, burned down a Secret Service guard station, and attempted to enter the White House to physically remove Donald Trump. Didn't care about that. So when you add on where technology's going, and this sort of problem-solution mindset, the dialectic mindset, oh, geez, look how out of control AI's getting. Oh, man, it said all this fake stuff about Biden, and it said fake stuff about this. They won't call out when it's actually doing fake stuff against the undesirables, the people criticizing Biden. But they'll call it out, and there will be real cases of shitheads that'll make AI and claim that it's real, Biden doing something, or, whoever, insert. And then they'll say, oh, see? Just like they do with violence. 2 Republican councilmen in New Jersey got killed a couple weeks ago. Was that because of left-wing rhetoric? Steve Scalise getting shot? Rand Paul getting attacked? Assassination attempt on Brett Kavanaugh? And on and on. No! But boy, oh boy, if Eric Swalwell gets a death threat, oh boy, it's Tucker's fault. It's right-wing streamers' fault. Even if you're expressly condemning violence, still your fault. Totally agree, Mick Landecker. And they get away with it, too. I said from the get-go, after the 2020 election, which I have to be very careful about what I say here, but I said my focus wasn't on voting machines. If there were legitimate things that occurred, bring them out in legitimate ways. And I'll be straight up with you. A lot of the stuff I was hearing was bullshit. Dominion voting machines in Germany and the Navy SEALs are fighting them. And no, bullshit. But the real problem was, what if a combination of our intel committees, or intel agencies, or mainstream media, the tech companies, and establishment politicians, academia, and the entertainment industry were able to pick and choose our leaders? What if they could convince a plurality of people of anything they wanted? Because they almost can. And that's without the advances in technology that we're going to see, such as AI. And make no mistake about it, none of us are inoculated from this. You might think, I'm not a sheep, I won't follow blah, blah, blah. Are you sure? I'm not sure. An AI looking at my life with a microscope might be able to push all the right buttons to send me messages or whatever to make me more likely to think in a certain way. I'm not special. It's absolutely incredible. Another thing I'll talk about, if no one has any questions or anything to bring up. Did you see this whole spiel with Tucker? I saw people taking victory laps. Tucker Carlson, I knew he was shit. I knew it. Because what came out was, in a lawsuit, they released information that said Tucker Carlson and some other people at Fox, but Tucker specifically is the only one I give a shit about, he was saying in private that he didn't believe some of the election claims that Sidney Powell and Rudy Giuliani were making. Yeah, he was also saying that publicly. He said, on one of his episodes, I watched it, he said, I have offered Sidney Powell a chance to come on the show and make her case. I will give her the entire hour. She refuses to do so. Right, Mick Linebacker. I didn't believe all the claims. That doesn't mean that there aren't things worth investigating, nor does it mean that I'm shitting on the average person. I'm not. That has questions. I'm not. I don't think they should be censored. But it's not as if Tucker Carlson was going on his show saying, oh, the voting machine's this and blah, blah, blah. And then in private, it's like, I don't believe any of that. He was publicly saying, I don't see the proof. Yeah, Frizzo, I haven't seen that specifically, but I'm aware that, yeah, that occurs. Your digital life is already out there. And most of it's stuff that you willfully put out there through places like Facebook, Twitter. I spend hours a week putting my opinions out there. Online, on social media. Knowing full well that the places I'm at, like Twitch and YouTube, are ran by people that despise me. Do I really think they're not going to use that information in a way that could be harmful to me? Now, I'm not a big threat. I got 50, 60 people watching. But you see what I'm saying. Let's type it in the Rumble chat to see if it works. Right, and I never understood this. You have to agree 100% with what someone says or you're, like, I don't get that. And that is a negative for the most sycophantic Trump supporters. Like, you can't say that, like, you can't even be like, oh, I think DeSantis did something good there. Oh, here you go, like, Mr. Globalist. What? But yeah, I thought that story, the Tucker story, I was just like, it's a non-story. I'm like, okay. Private messages show Tucker saying exactly what he was saying publicly. Great. Who cares? James O'Keefe, I don't know what the specific details are, but there is no doubt. Let's say, like, for those that don't know, James O'Keefe's out at Project Veritas. Let's steelman the position. Let's say that James O'Keefe was misappropriating funds. Donations are coming into Project Veritas, and James O'Keefe's eating caviar, flying on private jets, or whatever. Is that shitty of James O'Keefe if that happened? Of course. If the new board, or the board's belief is that they need to stop that because the bottom line is the health of the company, is doing what they did a step in that direction? No! Their company is worthless now. I don't care what Veritas says at all. Done. James O'Keefe was Project Veritas. James O'Keefe presumably will go on to formulate some other company, and it will do what Veritas did. That's it. Now, that's even if O'Keefe did those sorts of things. I have no proof that he did. It's probably just ego of the people running the place. But maybe it is because his latest video targeted Pfizer. We talked the other day about media moments. I talked about Kavanaugh and the Covington kids and how masked off moments for the media. I mean, one that I should mention that's occurring right now is the total and utter silence on the Twitter files. They're just like, yeah, we're not going to cover it. I don't care. Don't care at all. Government institutions colluding with private industry that have almost monopoly on control of information to censor political ideologies to help win an election for the side that they want. And they're just like, oh well. No big story. Yeah, I hear you, Mix-a-Lot. I mean, you're not alone. I think they lost, 100,000? Within like 4 hours, they lost 100,000 followers. Oh my goodness, someone said something to me. Thanks, Mix-a-Lot, for the cheer. I appreciate it. I'm still trying to raise money. Marjorie Taylor Greene came out and said, we need a national divorce. And people were like, oh, that's terrible. And I have a friend of mine who's a Democrat. Thanks, Frizzle. But my friend, who's sort of a moderate left-winger who votes Democrat, he was like, this is stupid. And it is dumb. It's not dumb, but it is. And Jesse Kelly had a good thread on this. Yeah, national divorce is a bad idea. So is going the direction we're continuing. I would like to see us not have a national divorce. But it's amazing to me, right? My friend, who's a great person. He really is. Smart guy, too. But nothing will ever get him to stop voting Democrat. He'll till he's blue in the face, he'll message me, did you see this shit? Did you see? Oh my God, this woke culture. Ah, blah, 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 blah. Who'd you vote for? Fetterman. Okay. That's why people are talking about a national divorce. There are insane left-wing people, including that would sign off on the government locking up people like me. And the government would want to not necessarily lock me up, but silence me. They would. The only thing that's stopping them is that they perceive they wouldn't be able to do it because there would be enough people that would say you can't do this stuff. But they're getting there. So you got these lefties that are okay with it. And then there are lefties and centrists that aren't okay with it. And they'll say, that's wrong. No, don't do that. But I'm still voting Democrat. Okay. There you go. Why are you upset that Marjorie Taylor Greene talked about a national divorce? Were you ever going to vote for her? Were you ever going to vote for Rebecca? They'll lie. They'll lie. They'll say, oh no, if the Republicans would just, change their policy on abortion and change their policy on gay marriage and change their policy on socialized medicine and change their policy on taxation, and basically if the Republicans just became Democrats without the woke shit, I would vote for them. Okay, well, they're not. Okay, then I'll take the woke shit. Jordan Peterson falls into this category. Brett Weinstein. The people that have gone after, like, James Lindsay or Chris Rufo for being like, we need actual policy in these schools to stop the indoctrination of children. And Peterson will be like, well, that's too far. Gosh, that's just Okay. That's what the intellectual dark web was all about. Making good points and then doing nothing. They're the Lindsey Graham of the academic world. We'll write a strongly worded letter. And then the insane lefties in positions of power at these universities and our politicians, they take that strongly letter and then they wipe their ass with it and they put it back in the mouth of those people, and those people chew it up and say, thank you so much. We're making a difference. That's what they do. I don't want to see, I'm for limited government. I don't want to see the government act in any way that's slightly coercive. But when one side says, well, we don't think the government should be forcing things on people, and the other side says, well, we do, and what we want to force on them is basically the eradication of your way of life, who's going to win that? Remember when I debated Jangles on critical race theory? Remember that? I don't know if that's something that got deleted or not. Let's try Rumble.
So it's just going to be one topic. It goes about like 2 hours, maybe 1.5. Like your definition of critical. nothing is true. The purpose is to say all our views are incomplete, even in the society. So interpretations of what happened in society, interpretations of racism, there is no objective measure of racism. It's all subjective. I can be comfortable with that. Lots of people can be comfortable with that. If you disagree with that,
and Rob didn't interrupt you.
Named Patricia Williams, she was considered high balls in this thrift that they think are important.
He thinks he's won, but he's actually looked like a
matter, right? The only story that matters is the people that are
have done because you were not interested.
It's ridiculous. You say you want to back and forth, but every time I ask you a question,
supported Trump, white people who had white anxieties, who are
this is how we would decide what is great or what's not. So, for example, if we could look at the United States, sure, you could point out criticisms, and that's fair. And so
we say Trump's
bias.
Cool. So what? This is something I always
schools based on
does
things
it,
like
does it bother you? For a long time. Does it bother you that they almost
shit up? I said, who cares if they only talked about it one paragraph? But
so we fought a war
about how evil this country is. Let's get back to. He's already conceded. Real quick. He's already conceded that he wants our education system to create activists to go after Republicans.
Yeah, addressing that is going to cause a little bit of discomfort.
Okay,
I didn't realize.
For a while, let's let him come back with at least a good.
Joe Biden may have not won the 2016 or 2020 election, but who won elections and things. Whether or not people said, "Oh, these people didn't win elections," the job of school, talking about teaching a subject in school, we should
know what I was talking about. But let's answer your question. So I'm getting my interpretation from Delgado and Stefanik. So in a good faith lens, there was no vision, but. Attacking me, I accurately described what's happening.
No, you didn't accurately describe what happened.
Very
we'll get to the way that this is put into practice. So first, you take one author, you say Delgado and Stefanik, and you say we should use their interpretation. One, those aren't the ways that it's being taught today. Second, we can see that Delgado is... This is someone named Jangles who's defending critical race theory, or at least saying it's not being taught or it should be taught. So I'm looking for a specific part. We'll leave this play just a minute. Said things like, the purpose of this is to breed activism. It's not just to breed education, but we need to breed...
Why is that bad? Why is that bad?
Please, would you leave me finish? So the author that he says, Delgado and Stefanik, the two authors that he says are those that he uses to define what critical race theory is. They wrote in their books that education systems should be used to create activists. I think that's bad. I think that our education system should be educating, not creating political activists. So when I bring that up, Jangles says, why is that a bad thing? So listen to what he's saying.
Listen, I've read the primary sources.
I know what they say. So let's talk about Delgado.
And you will not... Oh, no! Last thing. You will not tell me what I think. That is not going to happen in
right, I'm not telling you what you think. I'm telling you, right.
No, you did.
No,
you're not going to do that again.
Listen, you could get in a high horse. Again, this is something that you see oftentimes with lefties that are losing an argument. Already 3 minutes into the debate and you're getting on some sort of high horse, claiming that I'm personally attacking you. If you think that this is a personal
You're
attack,
not personally attacking me. I accurately described what's happening.
No, you didn't accurately describe what happened. We'll get to the way that this is put into practice. So first, you take one author, you say Delgado and Stefanik, and you say we should use their interpretation. One, those aren't the ways that it's being taught today. Second, we can see that Delgado has said things like, the purpose of this is to breed activism. It's not just to breed education, but we need to breed...
Why is that bad? Why is that bad?
Please, would you leave me... Why is it bad to breed activists, says this guy. Now listen to what he says. Just follow this chain of thought. You ready? You finish? You talk. If you want to have it, listen. No. Right. If you want to have a back-to-back, that's fine. But what you can't do then is talk in 3-minute chunks and then expect me to talk for 20 seconds and have you respond. No, I think it'll be a better conversation.
Moderator, but you're free to interrupt me.
Right. So yes, it's bad because the rule of our curriculum isn't to create activists for left-wing causes. That's not what we should be doing. Like, for example, we could see that the way that this is put into practice is we see often in Iowa, we just saw that the official teaching guide that went out in the state of Iowa, by the way, a right-wing, a Republican state, said that things right on the borderline of unconscious racism to conscious racism was saying things like, make America great again. That's what's being taught in these schools.
Hell
we need to create...
Fuck yeah. No, right, that's hella racist.
Thank you.
Tell me why it's not. Tell me why it's not. So make America great again. What previous...
You see, they say, oh, no, it's just about teaching slavery and stuff like that. And then when you talk about how it's actually being done, you say the author said to create activists. He says that's good. And you say, like, for example, in Iowa, Republican state, the teachers union there are saying that the statement, make America great again, is racist. Yes, of course it is. You see? They say it's not happening, and then when you show it, they're like, well, of course it is. That's a good thing. But let's listen a little further.
What previous
Mick
point
Jangles
in history
stop interrupting
America
again.
Great?
Mick Jangles stop interrupting again. How about that? So we can see he actually proves my point here. So what he'll say is political ideology.
Answer that
right,
question.
I'll answer the question when I feel like getting. I'll answer the question when I.
Stop. Everybody stop. All right, guys. I think we got off on the wrong foot. Let's try to have a better conversation. I understand. They was back. Hold on. Yeah, I understand. So let's just calm down. Let's just calm down. We can have a great conversation. It was going much better when when you guys were on modern day debates. Yeah, I don't like this back and forth that's like long. And both of you guys more back and forth though.
Republican Party and if Trump is racist
from now on. Okay, so Rob, go ahead.
Yeah, may I finish my point?
Go ahead, but yeah, let's try to have a more back and forth though.
He proves my point. The political slogan of the Republican Party and if Trump is racism. America has always been great. It could be greater, but it's always been great. Make America great again. It talks
always?
about how... Sure. Again...
always?
Yes. America's always been... Yes. America's always been great.
For who? For who?
Well, that again, there we get to the reality. See, so what he wants to talk about
is
we
get to the reality where you can't
right. So I'll tell you, the reality of the matter is that they want to view the lens through subjective reality, and it's always just making sort of America or countries that we consider from European heritage talking about the sins that they've had in the past. They never want to talk about that in comparative to other countries. This is how we would decide what is great or what's not. So, for example, if we could look at the United States, sure, you could point out criticisms, and that's fair. No one denies that. But we
sure, you point out like
when we talk about greatness. We're talking about it vis-a-vis other countries. We're talking about it vis-a-vis other countries is what we're talking about. Now,
no, we're not.
Yeah, sure
we are. We shouldn't have to compare ourselves.
So, can you name me a country that's ever been great? Right? Can you name me a country that's ever been great?
No, they all kind of fucking suck.
Right.
We don't have to compare. Dude, we're America. We don't have to compare ourselves to other countries.
And what you see is
make America great again. What are you trying to return?
You see, this is like I was in a debate once, and we were talking about the infrastructure bill. And I said, they're talking about, all of this stuff, indoctrination, education, critical race theories, infrastructure. And the person said, that is infrastructure. And I said, they're giving money to Afghanistan for gender studies. That is infrastructure. And I said to the person, can you name me one thing that's not infrastructure? They could not. If everything's infrastructure, nothing's infrastructure. So when I say, yes, America was a great country, it continues to be a great country. Make America Great Again is talking specifically about cultural institutions and economic way of life that this country had in the past that we would like to get back to. Manufacturing, the idea of, a rising tide lifting all boats, things like that. A robust middle class. And he's like, no, slavery and shit. America was never great. And I'm like, well, it's great if you compare it to other countries because what you people want to do is constantly look at it in the most negative of lights. But you can do that with any country. So when I say great, I'm comparing it to other countries. It's great comparatively. And he says no. And I say, well, then name another country that was great. He says, no, they all suck. We don't have to compare because we're America. So he literally, in a response to the idea of America being great, defaults to American exceptionalism, saying America doesn't have to fucking compare ourselves to other countries, just to see how backwards he is. But this isn't the part I want. Hopefully it's
coming. Turn to. Name what you're trying to return to, why it was great, and why it wasn't completely fucked for a lot of people who weren't kind of racist.
Right.
All right? So when we say Trump supporters are racist, there's data to support that. The primary group of people who supported Trump were white people who had white anxieties, who were scared about losing their status in society. I have data on that. I have multiple studies on that.
You keep talking, but you're not saying anything. So what you can see is he's saying that yes.
I just cited.
So real quick, just so you can see his position right now. Yes, schools shouldn't just be educating; they should be creating activists. Yes, Trump and his supporters are racist. Therefore, we need activists that go against them. And if you disagree with that, that's because you're white and want your position in power.
I'm sorry. Do you think civics courses? Do you think a civics course?
So you can see that's what he's saying, and you'll see he'll say that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. Then I have to walk him through it, right? Yes, Republicans are racist. Trump's a racist. America was never great. Yes, our schools should be creating activists. That's what he said. I said they're teaching people that the slogan of the Republicans make America great is racist. It is. So he thinks that's good, right? This is a guy whose opening statement was saying critical race theory is not being taught in schools. And then he's like, yes, we should teach that Republicans are racist. That's what we should teach. Now listen, I outlined what he said. Now watch what happens.
A civics course telling you how to be a good citizen. Do you think that is without bias?
Do I think a civics course is what? Without bias?
Or do you think a civics course that tells you what your duties are?
Right, I'm asking you, did you say without bias? Was that the end of the question?
Yeah, do you think it's without bias?
No, I think everything we teach has some sort of bias.
Cool. So what? This is something I always want to ask. Why is the Pledge of Allegiance not indoctrination?
Who says it is?
Your line for indoctrination? No, your line for indoctrination seems to be like if it's a little bit left wing.
No, my line for indoctrination would be saying things like saying entire groups of people are racist that are political opponents to yours and creating activists to go against them is something that's beyond the pale. I similarly would say the same thing if right-wingers said, oh, we want to teach, civics that is pro-United States, and therefore our definition is the mottos of the Democratic Party are anti-United States, and so they should be shamed and told that they're evil, horrible people, and we need to create activists to go against them. I would be against that. Are you familiar with the 1776 project?
Sure.
The 1776 project is a project that was designed to repel the lies of the 1619 project, where we see left-wing indoctrination that's been involved in these schools based on things like
does it bother you?
For a long time.
Does it bother you that they almost never mention slavery? Like, it was like one paragraph.
Why
does it bother you that they like?
Do you think that before?
Why is the history of black people in this country not important to its story?
Who says it's not?
This is what I'm talking about.
It's not? I mean, this debate's going to be really shallow. Right, the 1776 project is a response to the 1619 project that was a historical lie that was taught by a critical race theory promoting person who wants to shame the United States as racist for political power because they want to continue to engage in this racist grift. And so people came up in response to it, a 1776 project that was rebutting the idea of how racist this country was. And Jangles says that rebuttal to the 1619 project should have had a massive section about slavery. Why? Like, for example, Jangles, the last time he streamed, there's a solid chance that nowhere in that stream did he talk about slavery. Does that mean that he doesn't care about slavery? Or he's trying to hide the fact that slavery existed? No, it's just in that particular conversation that he was having, and what he was rebutting or what he was referencing, it wasn't the most important part. So what? They have one paragraph about slavery, and contrary to popular belief, no one's trying to act like slavery didn't exist. This is what they do. They gaslight you. Oh, if you're against saying that all Republicans are racist, then clearly you don't want to say slavery existed. What? But we're almost to the part.
The 1776 project, it had one paragraph.
So what?
Hold on, I want to catch you in a little Weasley fucking lie. Why you just said why should slavery be important?
No, I didn't.
In the history of this country, and then you immediately flipped within 2 seconds, saying like, who says slavery is not important to this country?
I didn't say it wasn't.
How did you do that consistently? How does your brain work?
I'll tell you how I did it, because I didn't do it. That's how I did it. Because you're so indoctrinated that you're literally making shit up. I said, who cares if they only talked about it one paragraph? Before critical race theory, for example, I went to school, I graduated high school in 2002. I was not taught critical race theory. I was taught the following things. Racism existed, it was bad. The treatment of Native Americans in this country was deplorable. Things like Jim Crow was horrible. We saw things like the civil rights movements that were very important. We fought a war to end slavery. The ending of slavery is very important. I came out of, one of the most...
We fought a war against who? Hold on. We fought a war against who?
We had the North and the South fight. We had the North and the South fight.
So America fought America.
Sure.
So we fought a war. When we say America was founded on white supremacy,
up,
this is objectively true.
No, it wasn't.
If you try...
And again, Rachel, by the way, it's going to be on the panel this weekend. Now, I know I'm not allowed to pick favorites as a moderator, and I'll have my moderator hat on Saturday, but I really... The topic is inspired by Rachel, the topic of women prioritizing raising families, which is the most important job that any person could have. I don't know why anyone would want to give up that job. It is that important, and we're bereft of it in so much of our culture today. So I'm glad that there will be a strong person advocating for that. So it should be a good debate. I'm really looking forward to it. Jangles. So the reason I'm bringing this up, Rachel, is we're talking about sort of the idea of national divorce and what Marjorie Taylor Greene said. And what I was talking about is I have a left-wing friend who's a very good person. He really is. He's a moderate lefty. And he's constantly texting me and talking to me about woke culture and how it's gone too far and things like that. And then I'm always like, well, who'd you vote for? Fetterman, the Democrat, every single time. And he's always like, I almost voted Republican, but then I voted Democrat. That's why talk of a national divorce is occurring. It's not because the radical left-wingers like Jangles that basically would all, but he already admitted here that Trump's racist, his supporters are all racist, the Republican Party's racist, the country is racist, it was founded on racism, blah, 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 right? He already admitted. He also admitted that we should be teaching activists in children this, in even elementary school, to become activists against this sort of stuff. So he believes that, I believe, that first grade we should be teaching kids to write and to spell and basic addition and subtraction. Jangles believes we should be creating activists to say that Trump and his supporters are racist. That's the difference, right? And so when this stuff's happening, yes, these people exist. But the reason this talk of a national divorce is something that's happening is because so many centrists and, quote, moderate lefties, they might not like what something like Jangles is saying here, but they're not going to change their vote. They'll keep voting for the same people that are doing this shit. They'll save their criticism when you stand up and say, you know what, enough's enough. I'm tired of this shit. Then they're like, whoa, what are you doing? The Jordan Petersons of the world. Oh, you're advocating the government get involved? Where were you, Jordan? There's Jordan with the sub. 17 months. A good normie. You know? So anyways, I'm going to get to this point. You can see just how bad Jangles is in this debate. Critical race theory doesn't exist. Well, of course it exists. It's not teaching kids to be activists. Well, of course it is. It's great that they're saying that MAGA is racist.
Try to argue against that, you are incorrect.
That's not true. The fact that white supremacy could have existed doesn't mean it was founded on white supremacy.
Really? So what was it founded on? Was it founded on freedom? And we just this is what I'm talking about. Like, the true America is absolved of all her faults. All the faults were not of the true America. And everything that America did that was wrong, that's not the true America.
No one said that. This isn't the part that I wanted to play, by the way. I have no idea. It might be coming up. But I don't want to fast forward now and have people say, oh, Jangles must have made a good argument. Trust me, he doesn't, so we'll listen.
You're saying that. You're saying that America wasn't founded on its mistakes?
You saying founded on white supremacy, it implies that the actual foundation of this country was based on the ideology of white supremacy. That's not true. It was founded on the ideals... that was outlined in the Bill of Rights and was outlined in the Declaration of Independence. The fact that the founding fathers...
Do you think that determining who is and is not a citizen might be a determining factor in how this country was founded?
It's not the foundational principle. It's something that occurred, and it's something we should talk about. Right, absolutely. And we talked about it.
This was so far removed in their thought process. This was so foregone conclude. This was so ingrained in their skull. They didn't even consider the fact that black people might be people.
It oozes from Jangles how much he hates this country and wants to talk about how evil this country is. Let's get back to... He's already conceded, real quick. He's already conceded that he wants our education system to create activists to go after Republicans and Trump supporters, that they're racist, that America was never... Now, this is the part. Now, not only is he doing what I accuse him of, but notice how he denies it. And then, like a child, I have to spend the next couple of minutes walking him through. He says, no, I don't say that. And then I have to walk him through, and he goes, yeah. That's how duplicitous these people are. They're not going to just come out and tell you, yeah, we're indoctrinating your children to hate you. They're going to say it's not happening. And you're a terrible racist for claiming that it is, because all we want to do is say slavery is bad. That's literally it. That's all we want to do. We just want to say you could have two dads. Most people are fine with that. I'm fine with that. But that's not what they're doing. And the point I'm making here isn't how insane Jangles is, which he's insane. It's that the people that are supposedly moderate on the left that say, yeah, you're right, Rob, I don't like that stuff, they're going to keep voting Democrat. They'll save their anger when people say, well, you know what, then enough's enough. We're going to have a national divorce. That's when they'll get upset. They'll say, oh, you can't say that. So watch him deny saying what he's already said and then me walk him through. He hates this country and wants to talk about how evil this country is. Let's get back to... He's already conceded, real quick. He's already conceded that he wants our education system to create activists to go after Republicans and Trump supporters, that they're racist, that America was never great, no country in the history of the world was ever great. That's what you've conceded. Yes, you have. Do you think... Let's go one by one. Do you think that our schools should be creating activists?
I think our schools should be creating good citizens.
Do you think they should be creating... That's not the question. When I said that the critical race theory designs to create activists, you said, why is that a bad thing? That's what you said.
Yeah, I said, our school...
Notice when I said he wants a school that creates activists, he said, nope. Then I'm like, that's exactly what you said. He weasels out of it. He says, I don't want him to create activists. I want him to create good citizens. He changes the word. I said, no. You said specifically about activists. Now watch him.
Should be creating good citizens. Good citizens become activists when it is necessary.
Should they be creating activists? You're weaseling out of the question. Yes or no?
My answer is activist is a broad term. No, I don't want them creating activists for bad things. I want them creating activists for good things.
Do you think? See that? You want them to create activists. He said, no, I don't. I'm like, that's what you said. I want them to create good citizens. But you said activists. I want them to create good citizens that will become activists. That's weaseling out of the question. Do you want them to create activists? I don't want them to create activists for bad things. I want them to create activists for good things. Get it? That's an admission. He wants them to create activists just for his positions. Now, if a Christian nationalist said, I want our schools to create Christians, I want a Christian curriculum, he would lose his shit. The Christian would say, well, no, we're fine because we think that those activists they're creating are good. What this gets back to is they're perfectly fine. He fucking lies the whole debate, just straight up lies. Oh, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. And then when it comes to brass tacks, he's like, yes, but only for good things. So he says, I want them to create activists for good things. Ready? That's not the question. When I said that the critical race theory designs to create activists, you said, why is that a bad thing? That's what you said.
Yeah, I said our school should be like creating good citizens. Good citizens become activists when it is necessary.
Should they be creating activists? You're weaseling out of the question. Yes or no?
My answer is activist is a broad term. No, I don't want them creating activists for bad things. I want them creating activists for good things.
Do you think? No,
I'm trying to answer. You said I weaseled out of it. I'm trying to answer. A good citizen will be an activist for good things, and they will not be an activist for bad things. Okay, so if they're going to be an activist for QAnon, no, I don't want them creating those types of activists. But if they're going to be an activist for LGBT rights, hell yeah. Are they going to be an activist for like anti-racism? Hell yeah.
See, I do want them to create LGBT activists. Wonder where all the sexuality is coming in schools. Now, Rachel is still in the chat. Rachel and me would have disagreements on exactly what we would like to see done regarding our law to LGBT. Despite that, neither of us want to see activists created in our schools for them. Nor do I want to see activists created for Republicans. That is not the job of public education that my tax dollars are forced to pay. They're supposed to be teaching education, not activism. So they're giving the game away right here. And they'll act like when you say they're teaching this shit to children. They're like, no, they're not. No, it's not happening. He just admits it. Yes, that's what I want to have happen. And that is what's happening.
Are they going to be an activist for like indigenous rights? Hell yeah. Do you think all those things I think should be like important?
Do you think that the ideology that Trump espoused was racist?
Yes.
So you think it's good to create activists? You think our schools should be creating activists that go against Trump's agenda?
Hell yeah.
That's the debate. That's it. I'll play a little more just so you can see he doesn't unequivocally. Okay, so I've won the debate. I've won the debate, and this is what you can see.
I love America. That's why I think Trump is
so this is. I'm glad to have Jangles on. I don't even have to get to the actual. I thought that I was going to have to go in depth of how this is actually taught. My opponent's actually
you were going to be smarter than this. Right. I thought this was going to be this easy.
You can see.
Okay, whoa, stop.
Unfortunately, because Jangles can't behave himself in a debate anyways, right? Like, I didn't even get to make my point as thoroughly as I wanted. Because he's just going to interrupt. But so not only like everything about that clip, it's incredible. And I'll put the whole debate up. It's only 55 minutes because Jangles stormed out early because he got his ass handed to him. Yeah, it's an old debate from a year ago or so, maybe even longer at this point. But it shows not only he admits, yes, critical race theory, we like that. America's never been great. It's not a great country. It never has been. In fact, no country's ever been great. And we should be focusing on that. And we should be creating activists, even in our elementary schools. And we want to create activists that teach to go against Trump and Republicans and people that vote for Trump. does he do that? He actually lies and obfuscates about doing it. You have to be like, and this is something that, like, I can actually respect debating someone even with a heinous ideology who's forthright and good faith. But Jangles can't even do that. The entire debate, right out of the gate, I was like, he's saying this. He'd say, no, don't put words in my mouth. That's not what I'm saying. I didn't say that. No. And I'm like, did you say that you want to create activists? I want to create good citizens. What about activists? I want good citizens that are activists. That's weaseling. What about activists? I don't want bad activists. I want good activists. So you're for teaching activism. If it's for good things like LGBT, do you think we should create activists against Trump and his supporters? Yes, of course. Right. So you did exactly what I accused you of. So not only is what you're doing heinous, you want to indoctrinate children to dislike your political opposition. And not only to dislike them, but to create activists. Which is exactly what our education system is. It's indoctrinating children to go out and in every 12 years plus then college, a beating into their head that they have to take their woke bullshit leftist ideology in everything they do, which is poisoning our kids, which then when those kids go to schools and end up becoming powerful positions like journalists and CEOs of tech companies, etc., they bring that ideology. That's what Jangles wants. But you can see even in this debate, they can't be honest about it. They can't be. They have to lie. Now, even if everyone doesn't know that's exactly what's going on in schools, everyone could see the woke bullshit everywhere. Everyone. Most people are afraid to speak up in public because they're afraid they'll lose their job or something. Hell, and before I'm like, I'm different, man. I don't care about that shit. I'm on YouTube right now. You think I'm saying everything I think? Of course not. I'd lose my channel. You don't think on the arena that I wouldn't love to have a topic about lockdowns and shit like that? I can't do that. So I'm not going to criticize anyone for being afraid to speak up. But what I will criticize you for is you criticize the people that are speaking up, or if you keep voting for this shit. Well, I think that that's bad, but, the indoctrination of children's bad, and the censorship of ideas are bad, and the targeting of conservatives through all these institutions are bad, but, I don't like fiscal conservatism, so what can I do? Yeah, exactly, Ian. It's like Black Lives Matter. They kept saying over and over, I debated Vegan Gains last Thursday. His position, on the Tyree Nichols situation, his position was that it's possible that racism was the reason Tyree Nichols was killed, because he was a black man, because of systemic racism. His proof of this was because some of the officers called him brother and the N-word. Black men calling another black man the N-word, which I hear all the time, right? Even if I accept that was his best proof, right? Even if I accept that, he said he was 20% sure. 20% sure that Ray said 20%. And I said, then why are we talking about this? If you think there's a far better chance than not that racism didn't have anything to do with it, why are we even talking about it? And he says, because no one is. We're not having this conversation. How fucking blind do you have to be to not see every time that a black person's harmed by police, what's the one conversation we have? Fucking racism. It's everywhere. Ever since Obama was in office, you can't have a fucking conversation without racism interjecting. The Biden administration's entire strategy to appealing to the people of the United States is to constantly talk about, our new undersecretary of press for foreign affairs in countries that don't have running water is a gay, disabled, black Muslim woman of, disability. So, yay. If only we were brave enough to have these conversations. Eric Holder said it once. Eric Holder said, this country's too cowardly to have a conversation about race. That's all we do! That's real power. Real power is when you control the narrative and still say it's not enough. It's not enough for the establishment that they control 95% of the flow of information. That's not enough for them. They need 100%. And they truly believe it's not fair that you have 5%. That's not fair. That's too much for you. That's too much. How dare there be even one person out there saying something we don't approve of? That's ridiculous. That's why they freaked out about Elon buying. It's not that Elon will do good or he won't do good. Their fear was they were losing control of a tool that was necessary for them to control the flow of information. It doesn't matter if they actually, just like with Trump, it doesn't matter if Trump was actually a good president or not. Their fear was he was someone who potentially wouldn't toe their party line. That's all that mattered. Once you have a near monopoly on power, you don't want the potential of losing it. Don't stroke out. I'm not stroking out. It's tough to speak out. I'm not telling you to speak out. How do all movements start? The first people will be punished heavily. Then there'll be a second wave that'll have more success. Those first people are heroes. So I'm sorry. I have problems with the idea of a national divorce. But it may be the correct solution. I would lean towards it. I think even if it's not official, you should be balkanizing to areas where you have a community that shares your values. I think you should be doing that. Get out of the city, in other words. But if I have to choose between a national divorce or the sexual indoctrination of my children, I know which I'll choose. And the fact that the brave centrists will speak up when they hear someone say national divorce, but they don't have shit all to say when all this corruption and censorship and indoctrination is occurring on the other side. Oh, that's not that good, I guess. Oh, well. You know, I've told you this. I had friends reach out. And again, I probably am against the idea of a national divorce. I want to do everything possible to keep this country that I love together. And I'm certainly against any sort of violence. But if states got together and said, us states want to leave, and the other states said, we're fine by that, that's not my ideal situation, but when the George Floyd riots were occurring, I had a friend of mine reach out to me. He said, a couple of our mutual friends reached out to me and said that you've gone off the deep end. They can no longer be friends with you based on a video that I did. And I said, well, what was the video? And it was me saying that the National Guard should be deployed to stop the riots in places like Minneapolis, Philadelphia, New York, Atlanta, where the local police couldn't handle it. And they said, that's too extreme. But if you watched what I said, this is what I said. I said, I don't want the National Guard deployed. What I want is for people to stop rioting. And given that they're not going to do that, what I would like is for local law enforcement to swiftly arrest the people that are rioting. And for our cultural institutions to rightfully call out how terrible it is that they're rioting. But they won't do that. De Blasio wasn't utilizing his police. He let them riot. And I said, that leaves us with only 3 options. First is, just let the riots go anytime they want. I can't accept that. I can't accept living left-wing activists anytime they want to use violence, intimidation, and threats to get away with it carte blanche. I cannot accept that. So that leaves two examples. One, calling the National Guard, which I have significant problems with. As someone who's small government, I don't want to see federal troops on our street. So then what's the other option? Pogroms. Civilians take it into their own hands. I said this before Kyle Rittenhouse became famous. I said people will die. That's what's going to happen. They will not accept the riots. They won't. If the police stand down, eventually people will come together and say, you know what? We'll take care of it. Just like the roof Koreans and the Rodney King. That's what will happen. And I don't want to see that. I don't want to see Americans put in the position where they have to use lethal force against other Americans. I don't want to see it. And so, even though it's a bad option, the best possible option I see, if we can't convince governors and mayors to utilize their police to stop this, is to use the National Guard. And once they're used, I will be as critical as possible in ensuring that they're not overused. And for that, my friend said, Rob, you're too extreme. Too extreme. Friends, that's too much. That's a bridge too far. By the way, how many of those friends do you think, fast forward after January 6th, had no problem with the National Guard deployed in D.C.? Want to take a guess? What was the clip someone sent me? It's probably a nonsense clip. What are you doing? The Jordan Petersons of the world. Oh, thanks. Someone clipped me. That's funny. Very funny, Jordan. I saw the name of it. I was like, passion fruit? What? Funny. All right. I'm going to wrap up here. Couple things for the audience. Hopefully this is my last stream with this crappy laptop that overheats and I can't have video and blah, 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 blah. So I ordered my computer. What you all could do for me, you see at the top there, I have a sub goal. My computer, all parts, everything, it's going to be around $1,500, so I'm trying to raise that. Now, I should have reset the subs. I just left them up from when we were at 2,000, so I've probably got 10, 15 subs since I started this goal, so that's a good $50 towards what I'm going to, the $1,500 or whatever. But we're going to keep plugging away. I'm going to try to set up a good, once my computer's built here, someday, a Friday or something, set up another 16-hour or 24-hour fund stream to try to get funding to pay off this computer. And here's the reason, right? Did I get a streamer rig? I think so. I don't know. Ask Aftershock. He picked out the parts, him and his friend. I'm going to try to build it. It'll be a disaster. But I'm going to travel with my desktop. I bought a whole bag to do it. Thank you so much for the super chat, Nico. $20 for the new computer. Thank you. Really means a lot to me. You guys are incredibly generous. You really are. Even without the financial support, you guys are awesome. I really, really appreciate my audience. I really do. So I won't be streaming tomorrow night. I'm going to be putting together what I can of this computer. Oh, I was talking about the 16-hour stream. Yeah, so I'm going to try to put together a stream, a fundraise stream, trying to raise money. I'll try to line up a bunch of guests, try to do some shit talking, some debates, the whole 9 yards. Play Atom Bomb Baby by the 5 Stars. Well, Adam. Maybe a good song, I don't know. But I'm on YouTube, so I can't play licensed music, so sorry. Sorry. But thanks for the follow. I appreciate that. Thursday, I might be moderating a debate, actually, between Prime K's and Rachel Wilson. No, I'm not playing it. I just explained it to you. Thanks for the follow, but... Give me a second. So that's a possibility. Thanks, Adam. You too. You understand though, Adam, I'm streaming on YouTube as well. I can't play licensed music. Sorry. So if not, I'll just do a regular show Thursday, and then hopefully everything's set up and we're good to go. This episode of The Arena, it's going to be on the Crucible, and hopefully streamed to my Rumble channel as well. That's going to be Saturday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. It's just going to be on fire. It's going to be a great panel show. I know it's going to be... The panelists are going to go at it. It's going to be good. I got some bits that I'm going to put on there, little things that I think maybe you'll like. So tune in. I think it'll be a lot of fun. If you or anyone you know wants to be part of those debates, those panels, all you need is a camera and a microphone, and to get in touch with my producer, Aftershock, on my Discord. Go to my Discord, just type, hey, Aftershock, I might be interested in being in some debates, and maybe he'll try to find a debate here in the next month or so that would work for you. Also, now as I'm an official member of the Crucible team, you really ought to consider, if you haven't, I'm not saying you have to give money or anything. If you wanted to, no problem. But you should consider giving the Crucible a follow. I think that they're building something special there, which is a debate platform that's starting to get noticed by people outside the traditional debate bro world. And I think that it would be amazing to see actual debates occurring on the Crucible that are very impactful to even our political system. Like, imagine actual political debates, two people running for Congress debating on the Crucible. Or imagine someone like Jordan Peterson debating on the Crucible. I think that it's really a possibility, so I'm excited to work with them, and I think that, so far I've had a ton of fun, I've learned a lot, and I think that my production values and things like that are going to go up. So I just want to apologize, though. I know that my production has sucked these years that I've been on. I know that's not the most important thing to most of my audience, but it is something that I owe to get better. And I am trying to put money into the channel to make sure that my production value increases. It'll be a slow but steady slog. I think getting this computer is an important first step. And I also apologize that I've been very busy and I haven't put out content that's up to the quality as far as the research, the topics, and things like that I'm used to. So I'm committed to doing better with that. And I think as I grow, that will give me a chance to spend less time working 80 hours a week. So hopefully that's something that... All right, let's raid someone there on Twitch. Who we got? Who's streaming today? Damn Rumble chat, I tell you. Oh, here we go. lecture fan on? Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. All right. Thank you all so much. I will see you Thursday. Twitch does suck, man. I hear you, Nico. My plan is to eventually be off Twitch completely. My Twitch fans are fantastic, but man, the things that the hoops you have to jump through Twitch is just. But I'm sticking it out until they kick me out. I'll tell you that. So, all right. Thanks so much, everyone. Enjoy this Rate of Lecture Fan. I look forward to seeing you all Thursday. If possible, I might be building my computer, but hopefully, maybe I'll do a stream of building my computer, and y'all could laugh at me. So, thank you so much, everyone. As always, have a good one.